no negotiating with the apprentice of Anakin Skywalker.
Elsbeth swiftly masters this sword and uses it to defeat Ahsoka Tano when she, Ezra Bridger, and Sabine attempt to penetrate the Nightsister stronghold and board Thrawn's Star Destroyer. The blade is constructed of metal and light with green flames, yet it is also strong enough to resist the blade of a lightsaber. It's obviously revealed to be incredibly powerful, and Elsbeth makes good use of it. However, this isn't the first time a burning, metal Nightsister sword has been spotted. This sword has already appeared in Star Wars, The Clone Wars. The history of the Blade of Talzin and previous appearances Blade of Talzin Clone Wars and Star Wars The Blade of Talzin, as shown in Ahsoka, is the weapon's first formal name. However, it appears to have appeared earlier in the Clone Wars Season 6, Episode 9, The Disappeared Part 2. It first appeared as a sword wielded by Mother Talzin in combat on the planet Zardasa Styx against Mace Windu. In the episode where it debuts, Talzin summons it in the same manner, and the sword is utilized in a fight against a Jedi. The fact that the Great Mothers can call it so readily must imply that it is a method that can be learned and probably even devised by Mother Talzin, thus the name. Given Mother Talzin's great power, the idea that she invented this weapon is quite plausible. What makes Talzin's blade unique from a lightsaber in Ahsoka Episode 8? Sabine's lightsaber, the Sword of Talzin, is unique in that it is not a true lightsaber, but rather resembles a Force-imbued sword. This is a kind of weapon that first appears in Star Wars Legends during the very early days of the Jedi Order. These Force-imbued swords were fashioned of unbreakable metal and were in tune with the Force spiritually rather than physically. This might imply that the Blade of Talzin has an ancient provenance. It is evident that the Nightsisters are culturally distinct from both the Jedi and the Sith, wielding physical swords more akin to those of ancient Force users. This might also be a sign that the Nightsisters are a far older civilization, arriving from a different galaxy entirely. The use of Beskar and Mandalorian weapons to reject lightsaber strikes is similar to how the Blade of Talzin is lightsaber-proof. What the Great Mothers do to Morgan Elsbeth after she receives the Blade of Talzin. Morgan Elsbeth's Ahsoka character poster beside Mother Talzin from Star Wars. The Clone Wars, the Great Mothers only give Elsbeth the Blade of Talzin after they have cast a spell on her. This is the spell that set her eyes on fire, transforming her into a full Nightsister, complete with black facial tattoos. This appears to be a type of initiation, maybe showing that she was previously simply an apprentice and is now ultimately deserving of the blade. They knew she was staying and wanted her to be as effective as possible in delaying Ahsoka. Elsbeth was also well prepared to wield the Blade of Talzin due to her past fighting experience, particularly in The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian Din Djarin finds Elsbeth holding a Beskar spear in Chapter 9, The Jedi, and she duels Ahsoka in that same episode, which was also her debut appearance. The Nightsister is evidently confident in battling a lightsaber with a metal weapon, and the Great Mothers can trust her to do it again. Why did Morgan Elsbeth have to die despite having the Blade of Talzin? Morgan Elsbeth and the Nightsister Great Mothers and Ahsoka. Many people were surprised by Morgan Elsbeth's downfall and execution at the hands of Ahsoka. Yet it makes sense given her involvement in the larger objective. Morgan appeared to be nothing more than a tool utilized by the Great Mothers and Grand Admiral Thrawn to achieve their goals. In this episode, she is depicted as someone who received the Great Mother's dreams and orchestrated the entire voyage to Peridea. Morgan was still a lower-level Nightsister despite holding the blade, having extensive training, and having a past history with Ahsoka Tano. She had only recently been initiated and was merely a sacrifice to allow Thrawn time to flee to Ahsoka from the faraway Peridea. Morgan's delay with the Blade of Talzin, however, finally worked, and Ahsoka and Sabine were abandoned on Peridea. This cliffhanger conclusion leaves several of the characters in very different positions than they began, which will undoubtedly be quite fascinating once Ahsoka's Season 2 begins. Because of the Great Mothers, the Blade of Talzin may potentially re-emerge in future stories featuring Thrawn set in this time period, such as The Mandalorian. They appear to be on his side and will pose a significant threat to the New Republic in future seasons of Ahsoka, maybe using additional Blades of Talzin.